Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
All right, everybody, let's do hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM. It is the talk of Las Vegas. You better believe it. We're just simply the greatest station in town. Even if Casey Kasem's on the other side, that's okay. We're having a great time talking pro wrestling here on KDAWN, the Odyssey app, and, of course, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, and just doing it better than everybody else. All my Hokamaniacs out there, thanks for tuning in. And, yes, we're just going to start doing it now. I figured, why not? Let's just go for it. I'm going to make you a flock of mine. It's going to be terrific. But thanks for tuning in. We certainly appreciate it. And once again, I want to thank you thank WWE for taking the time to give us a little shot with Shawn Michaels. Had him on last hour. And, of course, that interview, we'll have the interview up on YouTube. I actually have that set to play right after the show's over. So you can go to Mark Hoke Show on the Mark Hoke Show on YouTube, and you'll see that interview in its entirety. So make sure you check that out. But, of course, I got to bring my buddy in. Gosh, I have made some of the coolest friends in pro wrestling, and I love these guys so much. You have no idea. They're just fantastic, and it's just great to get them on the show whenever I can. And this guy is just unreal. My good buddy from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling in Austin, Texas. Let's get him in here right now. Stu Myrick. Just nod your head and say, yeah. What's up, Stu? How you doing?
Casey Kasem?
Yeah. I compete against
Casey. Die like 10 years ago?
I'm competing against Casey Kasem.
Man, look, he was one of the best in his day, but man, if you're competing against a guy that's been dead for 10 years, man, we may need to talk to your program director about some timing here.
Yeah. Well, it's actually against the place that I used to work at.
All right.
They're still playing American Top 40.
All right.
It's still doing well.
I guess it is.
Understood. But
I've been doing sports radio for 15 years, so I'm not even sure we have American Top 40 in Austin.
Yeah.
If they do, I don't know who plays it, but
Yeah, but it's still cool. It's all good.
We have our own live music scene. We are the live music capital of the world, after all. So, yeah. So, hey, how you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. Good to have you on the show again, my friend.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, we were having a pretty lively discussion. I was, I'm going to pick it up where we left off. We were just talking about Becky Lynch a little bit, and what was going on with AEW and everything, and contracts, and mentioned about the NBA, what they were going on with Warner Bros. Discovery and everything, and was just headed into that topic. And apparently they are saying now that WB is offering AEW more than $110 million, which would put them into the black. And one of our listeners actually put in the chat box, do you think NBA fans will blame AEW fans for Warner Bros. Discovery for losing the NBA and keeping AEW? Which I think is great.
Oh, look. Wrestling fans are great. They're awesome. They're passionate. They're passionate, good reasons, and passionate, bad reasons. That right there, if you're going to blame Tony Khan and AEW for why Warner Brothers Discovery is losing their NBA rights, probably to NBC, man, look, pro wrestling's great. It's awesome. It ain't that powerful.
No.
It's a matter of who bid higher, and NBC wants it. They're trying to rebuild their sports properties. They've got the Olympics, but they got Sunday Night Football. but they're trying to rebuild after that, after the, the dip they took, getting rid of NBC Sports Network and all that good stuff. They're trying to rebuild NBC Sports. And what better way to do that than to bring on the NBA and have those games on. So, no, do not blame AEW for why Turner Sports is losing the NBA. It's, now I'm glad that will mean AEW gets a higher paycheck, and that's great. And that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, not just with AEW, but with Turner Sports as well, because we've seen them try to branch out into other venues. They still have the NHL. Looks like they want True TV to become like a sports network. You see a lot of NBA or NHL and NBA games there. They still have the March Madness. They still have the Final Four, which that's always a cash cow. So, I think TBS, they'll show baseball games every week. I think they're going to get into college football this coming year.
Yeah. So,
they're trying to rebuild their sports properties as well. So AEW, is a live sport, even if, whatever you want to call it, but it is live sports. And that is the one thing, most people, if they DVR stuff, the one thing they usually don't DVR is live sports. They want to see it live.
Right.
And so, that garners a lot of attention, garners a lot of ad dollars, and AEW right there with them.
Yeah. David Zaslav losing the NBA sure didn't hurt AEW, that's for sure. But I think when you look at this, certainly it didn't hurt him screwing up the NBA negotiations, because that frees up a little money. But one thing that I know Tony had kind of said in the press that, hey, I'm not real happy with this. They've got to get this on Max. I mean, there's no question in my mind. That is a major priority. They need a streaming property like WWE has with Peacock. It is a must. I think one problem that AEW has, and there was just an interview that Tony did where he was saying how the ticket sales are down, and I think there's a couple reasons for that. There's one that I'm going to get into it with you in a little bit, but I think part of it is that they need a better venue like what WWE has, and not having all of their properties out there and easy to view is stinging them. I think I talk to a lot of people that are casual fans or people that, say, hey, have you seen AEW? And they're like, well, no, I haven't really watched it. Well, when you can't go back and watch it, that's killing you. It's absolutely killing you. So, and then when you have to pay $50 for a pay-per-view, that's the old model. It's really the old model. You need to get with the times and get out of that and get to, being on a streaming service and being able, everybody's paying, $4.99 or $9.99 a month, and you get that. So that needs to change, and Tony needs to get that done, and he knows it.
I agree. And especially with Tony wanting to do 9-10 pay-per-views a year, so now you're asking people to shell out $50 almost monthly, where WWE says, hey, just give Peacock $9.99 a month. Mm-hmm. Or I think you can actually get a discount if you pay for an annual subscription or whatever. But still, it is absolutely important that they find a way to get AEW, and by turn put the Ring of Honor library on Max. I know they got Honor Club, and Honor Club is fine, but putting it on Max means you get more eyes on it,
right?
And that will definitely help things. They're getting ready to be in Arlington, up I-35 from me, for 5 weeks with Collision. Plus, they're going to bring Death Before Dishonor, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, to Arlington. it would be a good time to look into putting all that stuff on Max. Get more eyes on it. Max has good content. They got great movies and they got live sports and everything. So get more eyes saying, hey, what's this AEW stuff, and have them check it out.
And I have Max.
I do too.
So that's important.
Yeah.
Put it on something I have right now so I don't have to pay anymore. That's a definite plus. But, I just think people have to realize just how big the money is in this right now. And these are, this isn't like it was back in the 80s. This is big time stuff. I mean, you look at, just like, for example, WWE, they just released the numbers for what WWE made for WrestleMania. And I don't know if you saw these numbers or not, just to throw it out there. Across the 2 nights for ticket sales for WrestleMania, they set their gate records. WrestleMania 40 generated $38.5 million at the gate. $38.5 million. That beat your AT&T Stadium WrestleMania 32 down in Arlington.
Yep.
The money that is flying around in this industry now is insane. And, this is, no one's playing around anymore, man. So this negotiation for Tony is just absolutely incredible. So
it really is. Plus now, so now WrestleMania is 2 nights. Now you're going to have SummerSlam in 2026 be 2 nights, and that could carry forward. We'll see what they do with 2025. But yeah, and that's, so that's going to up your gate sales tremendously. And you're right, and look, they, I always chuckle whenever I went, look back at WrestleMania 32, which was at Jerry World, and they announced, I think it was like 101,000, which, look, AT&T Stadium can hold, I think, if you configure it right, it can hold up to 105,000. I don't think it ever held over 100 except for, and I'll say it wasn't for WrestleMania. I would say it was probably around 97,000 for WrestleMania. But as far as the stadium, there might have been a Cowboys game early on. But that's about it. It is rare that they get over 100,000 in AT&T Stadium up in Arlington. So, it's interesting though. And so, AEW's got to figure out, whatever that was. I will say one good thing that we have seen recently is this casino gauntlet that they do. The first time they did it, it was a fun match, but you didn't really know how to follow it because even the commentary team didn't know, how to follow it and how to explain it. But the second time they ran it this past week, you knew what was going on. You knew what was at stake. It was fun. And that was a lot of fun. Not to mention, you don't know who's going to come out and all that good stuff. And it was a lot of fun. And I think Tony Khan needs to find a way to make that, don't do it every week, obviously, but do it, I don't know, every 4 to 5 months. Why not? Especially leading up to a pay-per-view. Have that be who's going to determine who will face the world champion. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, it was it was pretty interesting. And now we're going to get, looks like we're probably going to be getting a series of matches with Swerve and Will Ospreay. I'm still not sure why they gave him the international title if we're going to do that, but okay, whatever. It's all good. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm curious. I want to get your reactions to Double or Nothing. And then I have something to follow up with you on that. So,
okay,
your thoughts on overall on the Double or Nothing card? What did you think of it?
The card was good. And look, we've all heard Tony Khan talk about, but there were at least 3 or 4 matches that could have been cut at least 5 to 10 minutes. The Anarchy in the Arena match, that went too long. It was fun, but man, they could have sliced a good 5-7 minutes out of that one. There was, let's see, there were a couple of, I think Tony Storm and Serena Deeb could have been. And they're two great tacticians. I've met Serena Deeb before, wonderful lady. But that one, I mean, and that's one of the criticisms about the AEW pay-per-views. Now, Tony Khan's always said he wants to give the fans their money's worth. I get it, but man, I mean, that pay-per-view was, the pay-per-view proper was 4 hours. Then you add on the buy-in, that's another hour. So you got 5 hours. Plus, for guys like you that were there, you got the press conference. Well, the press conference, isn't starting until, midnight in Las Vegas? That's 2 a.m. here. There is no reason why a press conference should be happening at 2 in the morning unless you're in, Japan.
Yeah, we got out. Yeah, we got out pretty quick this time. I was surprised. I think it was home. I was home.
And that's something.
Yeah, I got out by midnight.
I noticed it at Revolution in North Carolina. Now, I think part of that, Tony Khan had an NFL something meeting to get to
the
LA morning.
The LA one was the bad one. Oh,
yeah. But, they've got to find a way. You can give fans what they want without making every match 20, 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
So,
and I think they could trim a few matches out. I think that's what they need to do. It's 12 matches that they usually do, and they could take a couple out. They could.
Well, and part of the problem is the criticism that's been going on for months. AEW's got too many belts. I mean, you look at that card, and there were 6 or 7 title matches.
Yeah.
There's just way too many belts. Because you got the international title, you got the continental title, of course, the tag titles, you got the trios titles, you got the TBS title, TNT. It's like, folks, it gets to where the titles become less and less important because it's white noise.
Right.
So you got to figure out, merge the international and continental titles together.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't understand about the continental title why it actually became a championship. I figured that was going to be kind of an annual thing as opposed to it's an actual belt. So I don't know. I was curious about that, but it's all good. I suppose we'll see how that turns out.
Swerve and Christian was good. That was a great match. Told the story. Like I say, Anarchy in the Arena, although it was too long, it was fun. It told the story. I do wonder how they're going to carry that forward because, all right, so now Tony Khan's back, storyline wise. So the Bucks aren't, trying to run roughshod because Tony's there to veto them. But what happens now? Are you going to see something at All In or All Out? I don't know, but there were a couple others. Adam Copeland, Malachi Black. That was a really good match. So sad that Adam fractured his tibia, so he's going to be out for a while. Of course, they're going to do the qualifying matches for the TNT title. It was great to see Gangrel there. Enjoyed that. So, like I said, it was a good card, just too long.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about a couple things that happened on there because I want to point out and tie it to something a question that I asked Tony because I want to see if you agree with me when we come back about what I think is one of the problems that AEW is having right now. Because overall, I love the card, but I think there's a situation AEW's got to address. And it's why I asked Tony the question that I did at the scrum. So stick around, everybody. We got more with Stu Myrick on the Mark Hoke Show when we come back. So stick around. We got a whole lot more. Plus, I got Stu. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, this is awesome. It's the best. Should we chant that, Stu? This is awesome. Can you do it? No? All right. Stick around, everybody. Best in pro wrestling news and entertainment here on KDAWN. We will be right back.
1015 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, kids, let's get back to it. The best of pro wrestling news and entertainment on the Mark Hoke Show. The best all around, man. We are having a great time on KDAWN 1015 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, the Odyssey app streaming worldwide. And, of course, we're also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, so you can see my cute, adorable little face. And, of course, Stu Myrick out here as well, joining me from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Great podcast. You got to have me back on there, man, sometime. I'd love to chop it up with you guys.
I'll text you after the show. Let's see if we can set it up.
Let's do it, man. I love hanging out with you guys. So, okay, Stu, I have a feeling I might get called a wuss after I say what I'm going to say.
Okay.
But I think there's an issue that AEW needs to address. So at the Scrum, I asked Tony about what he's doing to market to kids and college students and that age group. Because here's where one thing I noticed when I was at Double or Nothing. I'm looking around the crowd. There's not a lot of kids there. And you're seeing things happening on TV and at the matches. A lot of blood, a lot of graphic things going on. And look, I'm a guy from the old school. Give me Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard I Quit match all day long. I don't mind color in matches when it's used properly. But for example, the lead up to the Roderick Strong Will Ospreay match. Will Ospreay gets busted up, and he did a good promo. I mean, don't get me wrong, when he was, had his face all bloody and everything. But you got Jack Perry getting set on fire, which, they set it up nicely. It was a cool spot, but 5 minutes into you're having a barbed wire steel cage match, and 5 minutes into that, Malachi Black and Adam Copeland are just busted up and bleeding all over the place. You've got Darby Allin bleeding up, and he's hanging from a ceiling, getting hit with a thumbtacks on the bottoms of shoes from the Young Bucks. Okay. Does AEW have a problem in that parents may be getting turned off to the product because of the past few years? More and more, we've seen a lot of color and more graphic things happening on TV in their pay-per-views. And so the kids aren't showing up, and parents aren't willing to bring their kids. And, maybe that's turning women off to the product too. Is that a concern that Tony Khan should have? And maybe they need to back off this a little bit.
That's actually a very thoughtful question. And it's hard to answer because, look, we're in the media business. We're in the radio business. We know that, the demographic that everybody targets, 18 to 49. That's the one. They're the ones that have the spending money. They're the ones that are going to have the disposable income. They're the ones that are going to pay for a pay-per-view or buy a ticket or something like that. Should AEW try to market to kids? It probably should be something. WWE does it. They do a fantastic job. And look, they have their style. It's worked for them. I really think that Tony Khan's mindset is young adults and up. I'm not sure he's too worried about whether kids show up and but you're right. By default, that means the parents don't show up either, the ones that have the spending money, the disposable income. So it's an interesting line to carry in that, AEW is trying to be the alternative to WWE, and I get that. And look, there have been some instances where it's like, that's a lot of blood. Or, like you said, setting Jack Perry on fire. I don't know how to answer that. I'll be honest, because
it's tricky, isn't it?
It is.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
So here, let me give you an example. For me, I remember when my daughter was a little bit younger, I took her here to the Money in the Bank, when Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley won the WWE Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking by the merchandise stand, and lo and behold, we're going by, and of course, dimwit me, I have her on the side by the stand, and she sees the New Day unicorn. That little light up unicorn they used to have?
Oh, yeah.
Daddy. Well, that's money, right?
Yeah.
Think of all the money that John Cena generates. And if you think of, if you want to bring your kids to that event, those are ticket sales.
Yeah.
Those are ticket sales. You're not going to, man, and that's tough bringing your 10-year-old when you see, for example, that picture of when they kind of crucified Adam Copeland in that cage match. Now you kind of know what you're getting, but at the same time, man, you're sitting there with your kids. Man, mom's going to be sitting there like, oh my God. I mean, I was sitting with actually one of our other personalities here at Odyssey, and she's like, I can't look. And she's a wrestling. She's been around wrestling for a while.
Yeah.
It's a very tricky position. But when you're saying I'm the challenger brand to WWE, but that's the product you're presenting, you're not really the challenger brand. You're a different brand. So, it's an interesting line to me. And I just wanted to bounce that off you, Stu, and get an opinion, because you've been in the industry a long time doing commentary and so on. So I wanted to get I was curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest, I think Tony Khan's comfortable with just, playing to adults, playing to 18 and over. I don't think he's too worried about, family type, stuff. And I think he's just going to stick with that, at least for now.
Fair enough. So there you go. I hear it from the expert, Stu Myrick. I'll give it to you. But I don't know. I just wonder if he's leaving some money on the table. That's all. So
yeah,
interesting thoughts from Stu, to say the least. There, yeah. So now the another thing is these guys taking some interesting injury spots too. I got in a discussion. I had Riccicino on with SportsX Radio, and we were talking about Adam Copeland doing that spot off the top of the cage and breaking his leg, and Jack doing the fire spot and everything. These guys taking too many chances, Stu. Are we, because even Adam said, man, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, and now you lose one of your top guys for another 4 or 5 weeks, and the AEW injury bug keeps rolling too. And once again, I'm not going to tell guys what to do or anything like that. I've only been in a wrestling ring one time in my life. But are they pushing the boundaries?
There is, no matter how good you may be, how skilled you are in that ring, there are limits to what the human body can do and can tolerate, especially in something like pro wrestling. I heard something about how maybe when Adam Copeland got up on top of the cage,
he hesitated.
He had a moment where he was going, man, I shouldn't be doing this.
And I think that's what happened.
Well, and it sounded like, I think I heard somebody, it may have been Brian Alvarez, talk about he decided to switch it up. And so when he jumps, he's jumping like he's going to hit an elbow. So then that's when he landed on his feet. And that's what, how the tibia got fractured. Look, injuries happen in pro wrestling no matter how safe it can be. I've seen it 1,000 times. But doing some of these more extreme, for lack of a better term, spots, yeah, you're kind of tempting fate. But at the same time, that gets the eyes, gets the attention. So, it's one of those things. You got to find that balance in between, in between the spectacle and the safety while you're in the ring.
Yeah, it's a very tricky line that these guys walk all the time. And yeah, I felt bad for Adam because where I was sitting. I mean, I could see it. And when he came down, I was like, man, he's coming down weird. And then he planted his feet, and I was like, oh my God, there's no way something isn't wrong after that was over. So, but we want to wish Adam all the best, and I hope for a quick recovery from him. I do want to bounce off you this whole thing with some of these contracts, man. We've got people that are floating around that are unsigned, especially one Ms. Becky Lynch. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what should Becky Lynch do? Should Becky stay, or is a Tony Khan check enough to get her to bounce?
Look, and I've heard all the talk. I side with those that say, look, Becky just wanted a break. She's been going at it. In fact, and allegedly, there was supposed to be I think she was supposed to take a break after WrestleMania, but then Rhea gets hurt. And so, kind of like what happened with John Moxley when, who was it that got hurt? Oh. And then Mox had to be in AEW.
Punk. Was it Punk that got hurt?
Punk. Yeah, you're right. It was Punk. So I think this is Becky's, look, I need to take a break. Look, Seth's out, nursing his injuries. So now she can spend time with him. She can spend time with her daughter. They can have some great family time.
But still, isn't it?
I'll be honest. Look, Becky's not jumping.
I wouldn't think so either.
No, she's not. When she gets ready to come back, she will come back to WWE and do, and pick up right where she left off, and it'll be wonderful. And I am not sure there is an amount that Tony could offer. Now, could it be a one-off where, say, Becky comes in to challenge Mercedes Moné, renew that rivalry? That could be fun.
I mean, you can't tell me that she wouldn't be tempted to wrestle it all in. I mean, that
true.
Could you work that out? I don't know, but I'm just surprised that they left that door even open. Yeah. I mean, because I sure wouldn't have left that door open. Yeah. I mean, I would have had that contract done and finished before even allowing the possibility of somebody sliding a check over there and saying, is this enough? Oh, it's not? Is this enough?
Yeah.
And just keep that rolling. I mean, that's because Tony's got a deep checkbook, and you're a sports guy. Taking somebody from the competition it's a double bonus. If you pull somebody away from the other team, it doesn't just help your team, it hurts the other one. So
right, kind of like say the Cowboys signed somebody from the Eagles. Hey,
who would be stupid enough to do that?
Well, it is America's team. So
yeah, whatever.
They were one time.
Whatever.
But like I said, I think Becky Lynch she's gonna take her time, enjoy the time off, and then when she's ready, probably as they get ready for SummerSlam, we'll see her back in WWE.
What about Natty? What do you think about Natty? Do you think Natty should make a change?
That's a
tricky one.
That's a more interesting concept. Natalya deciding, let's try a different environment. Natalya's been doing this for a while. She's one of the best. She's done it all in WWE. So, assuming her contract does expire and she is a free agent, does she test the waters in AEW? Does she go to TNA? Does she go to Major League Wrestling? I think it would be. I think it probably wouldn't hurt. I'm not sure I would go to AEW straight off unless, like I said, the check is big enough. But I could see her go to TNA. You got this kind of working relationship, I guess. You got Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockouts World Champion, now going to NXT Battleground to take on Roxanne Perez. I could see Natalya show up in the Impact Zone. Why not?
Yeah, it would be fun, and the other intriguing to me to her going to AEW is the relationship with the Harts and the Owen Hart tournament too.
Yeah,
that would be an interesting twist. So, man, that's pro wrestling's fun, isn't it? Gosh, it's fun.
You can go down all sorts of rabbit holes.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, it's crazy. Well, of course, we've got Stu Myrick on here from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Highly encourage everybody. You can give him a follow at Stu Myrick, and of course, check out his great show. They do a fantastic job down there. We got to take another break, Stu, and when we come back, we got a whole lot more with Stu, and we talk a little bit more about NXT Battleground right down the street from us here at Odyssey Studios at the UFC Apex Center. It's going to be a great time. That is going to be a historic match coming up here with Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez. That's going to be a lot of fun. Get your tickets at AXS.com and enjoy yourself. Not many left, Stu. You got to tell them, man, we need to get them over there. It's going to be a blast. So stick around, everybody. We got a whole lot more on the Mark Hoke Show. One more segment, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. We will be right back.
.1015 FM KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's finish this out. Going for a 3 count here. Stu and I teaming up. Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling in Austin, Texas.
Hey, Mark, can I plug something real quick?
Sure.
So, in addition to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, I am also on the commentary team for a promotion here in Austin called Inspire After Death. We have a show tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Your Paradise is Burning.
Yikes.
It's going to be a jam-packed, one of the names, Vert Vixen, one of the most popular females on the independent scene. I think she's still the current Defy Women's World Champion. She's going to be on the card. We got several others, a lot of great Texas talent. It is happening tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. It'll be 4 p.m. there in Las Vegas. You can get it on AEW TV, Independent Wrestling Television. It'll be coming to you from downtown Austin. Great place called Empire Control Room, a garage. Wonderful venue. So check it out. I'll be on commentary with my broadcast partner, the Kingpin, Kenny Cross. Check out Inspire After Death on AEW TV tonight at 7 Eastern.
Very cool. So there you go. There, give you something to watch tonight, everybody. But you said something. Paradise is Burning, you said?
That's the name of the show.
Is Jack Perry going to be there?
No, he's not. That would be fun. Our guy, the guys that run Inspire, Max and Biz, they come up with some interesting names for shows. Last one was The Evil We Do. Now, we did have Danhausen in.
Perfect.
So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, they come up with some good ones. So this one's called Your Paradise is Burning.
Oh, sounds like fun. Should
be fun.
Yeah, sounds a little scary, but should be fun. So
and also you'll see the N64 Gauntlet.
The N64 Gauntlet.
Yes, for those, and I am not a gamer, but for those that used to play WWF No Mercy on Nintendo 64. They had a gauntlet match where you started 4 people in the ring, and then when one of them gets eliminated, another one joins.
Okay.
Until you run through all of them.
Nice.
So we're doing that match tonight with several great Texas wrestling talents.
Wow.
Including the official luchador of Austin FC of Major League Soccer, Verdismo.
Wow. Sounds like a blast. So an N64 gauntlet. Brace yourselves, everybody. Yeah. So check that out. Where can they get that again?
7 p.m. 6 p.m. Central, 4 in Pacific on Independent Wrestling Television, IWTV.
IWTV. So make sure you guys check that out. That should be a blast. Oh, N64 gauntlet. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Check that out. Now, I wanted to ask you about this one because you were there for that nightmare match that Gable Steveson had. That just didn't go well with Baron Corbin. He has been released and is now signed with the Buffalo Bills as a defensive tackle. They're going to try and make him a defensive tackle. And I don't know if you saw this, by the way, the former Cameron Grimes, now Trevor Lee, back to that name. Someone asked him, said, what position is he playing? LOL on Twitter. And Trevor Lee replied, whichever one requires the least amount of work and has other people make him look good, I'm assuming. Wait, wrong sport. Ouch.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Your reaction to Gable Steveson's release and this whole thing, what'd you think?
You talk about someone that had all the potential in the world and then just absolute, a disaster of a signing. And I hate saying that about the guy. I mean, the guy's an Olympic gold medalist. But pro wrestling was not his thing. It just wasn't. And yeah, I was at that NXT Great American Bash last year here in the Austin area. Him and Baron Corbin. Now look, I have watched Baron Corbin for years. Met him in Miami during Super Bowl 54. And Baron Corbin has been booed all the time, except that night. He actually got cheered.
Wow.
Here in Austin. And Gable Steveson was the one getting the boos.
Unbelievable.
It was not a good match. And Baron did everything he could to try to get something out of it. And it just wasn't. I'll be honest, I'm surprised it took him this long to release Steveson.
Wow.
Because it was pretty obvious he's not fit. So now he's going to the Bills. Look, Brock Lesnar couldn't make the Vikings. I'm not going to hold my breath on seeing Gable Steveson, trot out there on defense when the Bills take the field at Orchard Park this fall.
Yeah.
I think this is let's take a flyer on him. They signed a free agent contract for training camp, see what they can get out of him. But yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath that he's going to make the team.
Yeah, this was very interesting. And it was, I saw that tweet from Trevor today and I was like, wow. Because they wrestled a couple of dark matches and apparently Trevor said he pretty much had to carry him the whole way. Yeah. So yeah,
and I've heard that a lot. He had every match that he had, however few they were, he had to be carried. So so I don't blame Trevor Lee one bit for making that remark.
Yep. So there you go. Yeah, that was an interesting story that we mentioned on SportsX Radio too. So yeah, but this is going to be a great weekend coming up in Las Vegas again. We get some NXT with Battleground, and we got about a minute-ish left. But this match with Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez, title, it's for the North. It's for the Roxanne's Women's Championship. But Stu, just in terms of, you've been around this for a long time too, and I was mentioning how historic having two champions from different organizations meeting up is. Just how rare is this, and how special is this match?
This is, especially in this realm. And oh, by the way, 2 Texas girls.
Yeah.
Because in fact, Jordynne Grace is from here in Austin. So, and then Roxanne's from Laredo. So, 2 Texas girls, both carrying titles from 2 separate organizations. And this isn't like AEW Ring of Honor. These are 2 totally separate organizations. And now they're going to meet in the ring. Look, it's historic. It really is. Now, do I give Jordynne a chance? No. They're not going to have an NXT belt being shown on TNA Impact. That ain't going to happen. I do see some sort of a, DQ, some sort of schmozz finish that keeps the title on Roxanne, but lets Jordynne, show herself well.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night over at NXT and right across the street. Should be fun. Stu, thanks for coming on the show again, brother. It's always a blast. We love having you on. And we, once again, everybody check out Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, and you can follow Stu at Stu Myrick, Myrick. And guys, that is going to wrap it up for us here on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. We'll see you next week on the day of NXT Battleground. Can't wait. And once again, want to thank WWE and Shawn Michaels for being on the show. We certainly do appreciate it. We'll see you next time on the Mark Hoke Show. Follow us pretty much everywhere at Mark Hoke Show and the Mark Hoke Show. Just check us out. And, of course, markhokeshow.com to keep up with us on the show. We'll see you next week, everybody. Have a great day, Las Vegas.